Great. Okay, so allow yourself to just find a comfortable position and settle in. And if you like, you can lay on the floor or your couch. I just always suggest putting a pillow under your knees so that your lower back will drop, and that'll help you feel more comfortable. And if you like, you can close your eyes. If you're not comfortable doing that, just let yourself gaze at the floor in front of you, about 3 or 4 feet in front, and just have a very soft gaze. You're not looking at anything in particular. And we just do this so that we're not visually stimulated while we're sitting. Otherwise, that starts a lot of thoughts usually. So begin by just letting yourself arrive. Just gently arrive here in this moment. Letting your body settle into position. And just noticing what's here right now. How is your body, your system showing up right now? Maybe very relaxed. Or you may find yourself feeling stressed from the day. Whatever's here, just notice that it's temporary. It's just conditions are such today, this moment. In time, it all passes. And this evening, I invite you to begin with just a gentle support of your breath, and just allowing your breath to gently breathe out any tension or stress that you're noticing. And so as you notice something tight or stressful, you can have a gentle attitude with it, but just gently breathe it out on the out breath. No need to hold on to it in your body. It's okay that it's here. We just don't need to cling to it. And we're not breathing out in a hard way or a pushing way. I like to say it's like having your hand open and just letting a butterfly fly off your hand. Just a very gentle release. No stress in the release at all. And so I'll just point to a couple of places where there may be some tension or stress. So you may notice most easily physical tension. This is where there's some tightness or bracing in your body. Or perhaps there's some racing energy. Whatever you find that's calling your attention or distracting, just gently breathe it out, letting it go, letting yourself empty. And you may also notice some mental stress or tension, racing thoughts or stressful thoughts, or your mind may feel pinched, tight. And again, whatever you find here, just gently releasing it with your out-breath, just breathing it out of your body. And it's okay if the same tightness comes back again or again. That just means it's a little sticky today. But if you just keep gently breathing out, eventually it releases. If you find a lot of thinking, this is just mental stress. So we just gently breathe out these thoughts. And finally, just noticing how your heart is tonight. There may be some stress or pain in your heart, some sadness or fear or anxiety, grief. And again, whatever's here is okay. Just conditions are such in this moment. We just notice our heart and then gently breathe out whatever painful emotion or feeling we find. Again, very gently. Allowing our heart to soften, relax. And as we do this, we're just allowing ourselves to empty our day and come back home to our center. Feeling the quiet and the peace that's within. Letting go of all the stories. And just being here. And I invite you to notice if there's any quiet within, to let yourself just begin to breathe into that quiet. And just allow it to come into focus. Letting it get as big as it wants. And if things are restless in the body, just keep breathing out tension. Just gently doing that until you notice the quiet. If stories begin again, just gently breathe them out. Allowing your body to empty and settle again. And feeling the quiet, you just begin breathing into it again, allowing it to expand. And come into focus. Just here. Letting go of all the noise, inside and outside. And with this quieting, I now invite you to allow yourself to recall something that brings you joy and ease. Something that nourishes you and helps you feel well-being and relaxed. It could be a certain person in your life, or perhaps getting out into the autumn, going for a walk, or exercising. And just let yourself feel the joy and ease of this nourishing experience. As you call it up, you may find you have a little smile on your face. And I invite you now to breathe that joy and that ease, that well-being through your whole body. Just breathe the joy in. Breathing it into your torso, your arms and legs, your head. Breathing joy through your bones and your muscles. Breathing joy into your cells, every cell of your body. And even breathing some joy into your mind and your heart. So your body, heart, and mind is saturated with joy and ease and well-being. Oh, it's like this. It feels like this. So as I'm speaking, you can just let yourself relish that joy and ease and just allow it to be here. So, tonight I wanted to do a little preemptive work. So, as we look at the world that we're in right now, the next 3 weeks is probably going to heat up a little, And so I thought tonight we could focus on some ways to take care of ourselves so that we don't get so swept up in the waves that happen. So I want to say, the first thing I want to say is basically what we're doing tonight is super glue, right? We're doing super glue for these next weeks to stay in ease and well-being. We all can use a little of that. And so the first thing I want to say is I'd like for you to believe what I'm about to say here, to really take it in, that for the next 3 weeks, you have full permission to take care of yourself. Really full permission. It's like if you don't often let yourself have time for self-care, I would really ask that you put that aside for the next 3 weeks. And that you just try it. Take it on and see what happens. At the end of 3 weeks, you can go back to being hard on yourself if you want to, okay? So tonight, I wanted to make it really simple. Like, what's something that we can hold on to and not forget? And so to keep it simple, I'm just going to talk about taking care of our mind, body, and heart. And so I just want to make that, you can make that a post-it and put that around your house. Mind, body, and heart. And just permission that every day for the next 3 weeks, you do something nice for your mind, your body, and your heart every day. And really, feel free to put post-its in your car, on your refrigerator, in your bathroom, just so that you have a little reminder when you walk in the room, like, oh yeah, I have permission to do this. Yeah. So I just want to take a few minutes to just talk about what does that look like when we're taking care of mind, body, and heart. Much of our suffering and pain starts in the mind. It has to do with the meanings we make. So if we think something is dangerous or scary, then the whole system goes into contraction, right? Our heart braces, our body braces. And so one of the ways we can take care of our mind is to do what's called guarding the sense gates. And so I really want to encourage you to be very sparse in how much social media and news you take in over these next 3 weeks. It's going to get really enticing and fast, and the stories will change a lot. And so you might be really hooked into checking your news feed or your Facebook feed or your Instagram, 30 times a day. And I would suggest that maybe you don't. Like maybe you just put a little limit on it, Also, when you read something, if you find that it's bringing up fear or contraction, it's a good time to put it down. Go ahead and put it down, take a break, go outside for a minute. So whatever it takes to kind of guard the sense gates, to just kind of do a little, not so much, don't need so much here. I guarantee you it changes fast, but it's always the same old, same old. Lots of high drama, right? Kind of like the old soap operas. It's like you can tune in tomorrow and it's still high drama, So you could give yourself a day off of high drama. It would be fine. The other way we protect our mind is by doing mindfulness. Doing some kind of practice where you're releasing the stress and the tension that you have in your mind, whether that's stories you're telling yourself, stories you're hearing on the news. There has to be some kind of system where you release those stories and you come back to yourself and kind of soothe and come back to quiet, come back to essence, gratitude, those kinds of things. To that end, I just want to give you some reminders of some places where you can do mindfulness. Obviously, if you have a practice, that's great. Go ahead and commit to it daily, particularly right now. If you're a sporadic person who sits, this is the permission you have to sit every day. Even if it's 10 minutes, just to give yourself that 10 minutes of emptying out and relaxing yourself would be so amazing to your system. If you're not somebody who's that familiar with mindfulness, there's a couple of options I just want to name for you. There are apps you can use. One that's very popular right now is Headspace. And what's beautiful about Headspace is that right now, they normally do these things as year-long subscriptions, but Headspace is doing a monthly subscription right now. So for $13, you can just sign on for 1 month. And then it has lots of 5-minute meditations, 10-minute meditations, meditations to help you sleep, and then specific meditations for depression, anxiety, stress. So wonderful opportunity to just check into that. There's also Calm. Now that's a yearly subscription. That's $70. I'm just being upfront with you. So you may not want to spend that money. But Calm, I think, does a nice job as well. And they also have bedtime stories read by really famous people, which is really nice if you have trouble going to sleep. To have somebody, to have Matthew McConaughey read you a bedtime story could be really sweet. So I'll just name that as an option. Let me see. UCLA Mindfulness is free. And they only have like about 7 different meditations, but it's free. And so you can also look that up as an app. And then just a reminder that if you go to my webpage, I have tons of audio and videos that are recorded. And so you're welcome to just tap into those as well. There's some for stress, some for loving kindness, but just something to kind of tap into once a day, at least once a day. If you need to do more, that's great too. So that's how we take care of our mind. We guard the sense gates, and then we empty and come into some kind of ease and do that. And our body. Our body is so important because it's where we release the tight energy somatically. And so I really want to give you permission, again, particularly to get outside. When you're outside, nature is big enough and it's beautiful enough to hold all your stress. And so you might commit to, for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to take a walk every evening after dinner. Something like that. Call a friend. Maybe call some friends you haven't seen for a while and say, hey, do you want a social distance walk with me? We'll keep our 6 feet. It'll be great. And get to see some of your friends again. Hiking, swimming, being out in this beautiful autumn. So any kind of, exercise, movement, yoga, anything that kind of clears your system. I really would just encourage you to maybe, at least for the next few weeks, do a daily practice. Just again, it can be 10 minutes of stretching, and it feels great. So we just clear our body, clear the energy this way. Yeah. And then there's taking care of our heart. And to me, there's 2 ways that we take care of our heart. One is self-care, and that's where we're taking care of our own emotions, our own feelings. And then there's world care, and that's when we're doing something that feels good, some kind of volunteering or helping or supporting that makes our heart light up and makes our heart feel joy. And so I want to just give you permission and encouragement to do some kind of heart care these days. One of the things that I've noticed a lot in the stress, and what I'm hearing from people over and over again, is that a lot of people are feeling a lot of chaos inside and a lot of agitation and feeling kind of scared, and they almost don't know why. You know, people are like, I just feel off, I don't know what's going on. And what I just want to mark for people is that what we're seeing in our country today, what we're seeing in the split in our country and in this aggravation that's being given to us, is a lot of chaos. A lot of chaos and a lot of breakdown of the fabric of community. And if we go deeply into that and notice, where does that come from? Where am I afraid of that? Where have I known that before? For many of us, it reminds us of chaotic times when we were younger. And at that time, we didn't really have a lot of, we were too little. We didn't have a lot of skills, or we didn't have the power to change our circumstances. And so this chaos can feel helpless, and it can make us feel ill at ease and ungrounded. And one of the things that feels like is traumatic for a lot of people. It just feels kind of traumatic. We feel like we don't have any solid ground to stand on. And one of the things we know about when trauma is in the field, or when we feel traumatized, what we know about people's resilience is that if they freeze and do nothing, then their system kind of gets braced and gets shut down, and the fear feels bigger. But if somebody does something that's proactive, there's a release mechanism that happens that actually makes the fear go down and helps your body and mind and heart from going into a freeze. So this is where heart care comes in. So in terms of heart care for yourself, what this is anything that makes your heart sing, makes your heart feel at ease. And so it might be going to the park and laying in the grass and letting leaves blow all over you. It could be singing, even if you're just doing it in your car. It might be dancing. So some kind of expressive piece that kind of moves your energy, get you out of sadness, get you out of depression. Gardening, or just clearing your garden for the fall. So this is self-care. You might go to the shelter and ask, can I walk puppies? Anything that kind of helps you feel more joyful, more alive. And when you do these practices, taking a moment to just breathe them deeply in your body. So if you're out walking a puppy for somebody and it's lots of joy, take a moment to stop and just breathe it through your whole body. You smell the leaves, the breeze on your face, or you're dancing and it just feels amazing. Take a moment to breathe it through your whole system, because this is where it rewires us and releases stress and settles our whole system. Yeah. And then finally, world care. So one of the ways to not feel helpless is you might take up a practice of prayer in these weeks of stress. You may do a loving kindness practice where every day you sit down for 5 minutes and you just send loving kindness to yourself and to the world. There are monks and monastics all over the world who do this every day for us. Our minds are out here messing it up, and their minds are sending love and super gluing it back together every day. So we can be part of that. We can be part of the prayer that comes for everyone, which is beautiful. And when you do loving kindness practice, it makes a difference. I remember when years ago, when I would go home for a few weeks and I would have stress about going back home, and there were years that it was difficult. And then I discovered the loving kindness practice and the loving kindness phrases. And I would just spend my whole plane ride going back to Boston, just doing loving kindness for myself and my family, a couple of people on the plane. And what I would find is that when a plane landed and I came off, I was ready. I was like, oh, I'm in such a good space now. And it didn't matter what they did. I had kind of soothed things. And what I came to find over years was that on the plane rides that I actually did loving kindness or metta practice, they were all in a better space when I got off the plane. So I just invite you to think about this practice, You could go, for those of you who aren't familiar, just go on maureenfallon-cyr.com and there's a loving kindness section. And there's even a place where I put up where you can take a picture and make postcards. And you could be, a gifter and just drop loving kindness postcards all over your community, laundromats, all kinds of places. Another thing you could do, I've been seeing people do this, and it's so sweet. I saw it on the trail the other day when I was hiking. People are painting rocks that just say things like breathe, joy, and they're just sticking them on trails. And so as I've been going around my community on these trails, I come across this rock and it just says breathe. And it's like, oh, thank you. I hadn't thought about that for a moment. Or joy, remember, see the joy. And I'm like, oh, so you might decide to paint some rocks and put them around where people can see them and find them. And again, this is this heart care that helps move us out of being frozen, out of being scared. It's like, oh, I'm part of the solution. A friend of mine today sent me a link, pizza for voters. And it was like, will you chip in and buy some pizza for all the people that are in line voting in Georgia and Texas and Virginia, wherever they are? I was like, pizza for voters. I love it. And you can make a small donation and help people that are standing in line to vote. So whatever you're drawn to, whatever makes your heart sing and helps you feel like, oh, I'm helping. This feels good. So this idea that, this is temporary, but I think it might get hot. And so if we start now and we commit to a daily practice of mind, body, and heart, of release and protection and feeding ourselves and our community, we're going to be in a much better space for being able to surf the waves that happen. No matter how big the waves are, you'll be well prepared to just surf them. And they are all temporary. Everything is temporary. So, So we just have a couple of minutes. If there's anyone who has another idea of something that is fun and nourishing, or something they've seen that really kind of was helpful to their heart, happy to hear from anybody who has ideas. It's a community gathering, a community offering. So if there's anything else that maybe I haven't named yet, you could unmute yourself.
Jan isn't here apparently, but she modeled for me just greeting people with a huge smile.
Yeah.
The warmth that emanates from her sometimes, and that's a wonderful gift.
Yeah, thank
especially
you.
right now.
Thank you. Yeah, she does that well. She has a beautiful smile and a big heart. And yeah, I talked about that a couple of weeks ago, just going around your neighborhood and saying hi to people. A lot of people just are looking at the ground right now. And you can just say hi, and they kind of pop up and go, oh, hi. And there's just this moment, right? Or, I love your dog. You have such a beautiful dog. And watch people light up and go, oh, thank you. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else or other ideas? Yeah.
I recently got on Audible,
Uh-huh.
about $15 a month, and I've been listening to books on tape
Yeah.
because I'm not going to the news,
Uh-huh.
not doing
Beautiful.
any of that. So I just find a comfortable chair. I sit outside, or if I'm driving, and play a book. And they've
Beautiful.
got wonderful titles. I mean, you're not going to want for anything on that site. So
That's great. Yeah, so Audible at about $15 a month and great book titles. Yeah. You know, that also reminds me of their amazing podcasts as well, you know,
yeah,
and I went down, my daughter was cleaning her room the other night, and I went down and it was so lovely and at ease. And she was just kind of floating through the room cleaning, and she had a podcast on. And the podcast was like, it's a National Geographic version. So they talk about whales and they talk about nature, but it felt like being read a bedtime story. It was lovely. So yeah, podcasts that are about natural world and beauty, those can be amazing as well. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. And I'm seeing Kathy here, and it reminds me, she's taking care of somebody else's puppies right now. So, you know, you could offer to babysit somebody's puppies or dog or, you know, something like that. Give somebody a break. She's actually doing it for a new couple that has a new baby. And so she was just kind of taking the dogs off their hands to help them out. So something like that is just really sweet and fun too. So. Okay, well, why don't we just take a moment for a mindful moment and just uh, go ahead and dedicate what we're doing here. I just see a note, somebody just gave me a note that Insight Timer is also free. That's another app you can check out. So you can close your eyes if you like and just kind of settle in. And so just taking a moment to feel this permission for self-care for mind, body, and heart over these next weeks. And noticing how that makes your system feel. And like I said, it's only temporary. If you want to pick up, you know, a more busy, harsher life afterwards, feel free. But just as a precaution for these next weeks. And I imagine it brings some ease, some rest, some permission. And so we have this for ourselves, but we also share it. We also open our hearts, our mind and body, offering this to the world as well, so that all beings may benefit from the ease we find in these few weeks, and that all beings come to find for themselves permission to take care of their heart, body, and mind. May all beings find ease in the conditions that bring happiness and joy and safety. May we all rest in ease together, growing ease on our planet at a time when a lot of fear might be stirring up. May the seeds of ease just ripple out from us into the world. So thank you for your attention and your practice. And I hope these are helpful to you. Lots of Post-its around. Put them everywhere. Mind, body, heart, permission. And maybe we'll be a wave of ease for our community and our family and our friends and ourselves. And just surf. Just put something beautiful in the world during a time when there's a lot of agitation.